Welcome to Outside the Cage with Javier Mendez. We are back. It's been a little while. Coach has been busy. He's had the Dagestani crew coming to visit. How's it like to be training with the guys again? Are they liking California?
Yeah, they love California. They get to do many of the things they like on their days. They like their days off, like Saturday, Sunday. They like training, like in San Francisco. They like the hills, and it just kind of reminds them of home. And they love going to different parts around here. Like I think this Saturday, I think they were in Sacramento. So only three of them are here: Tahir, Usman, Habib's cousin, and Manap Abu Bakr, Habib's other cousin. They're the only three that are here now. The rest are coming at some point, but yeah, they enjoy it.
They love the bridge. I mean, if you go on Instagram, they're always going to take a picture by the Golden Gate Bridge, by the ocean. And there's a lot of Russian people, a lot of Russian influence in the area. Probably another reason why they like it. A lot of Russian restaurants in San Francisco, too. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that, so that would probably make him feel more at home, also too. I would think so. No,
I've met
I had no idea.
I met some other friends. So the big reason for today's podcast is, I didn't realize, how the rankings are set up. Well, I kind of did, but Paul Felder, the Irish Dragon, retired, and upon doing that, the rankings were recalibrated. So Islam was thinking, I think he was sitting at like number 15 or 14 or something. It's just a way
It's
that
11,
11.
number 11.
Now he's in the top 10. Now he's number 9. And that's on the UFC rankings. So he's got this one tough guy to get through to stay there. And then now those guys can't deny him anymore. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I never thought everybody was denying him. I just thought that certain people had fights, and there was some people that were denying him because it didn't make sense. But, I mean, Connor and Dustin were fighting already, and that fight wasn't offered, number one. Number two, then you got Justin Gagey. Justin Gagey was probably the only dance partner available, and maybe it wasn't presented to Justin Gagey. Maybe it wasn't the right time for that. But the others that were presented, I'm pretty sure they declined. But like Tony Ferguson, I would never decline the fight. He'd take whoever, that's who Tony is. So, so we can't talk about all these guys don't want to fight ism because that's not true. All those fighters will fight each other if the circumstances are correct. If they're not correct or if they're listening to their management, then, it's not the fighter that's refusing to fight somebody. It's the management that's making the wise decision to steer clear of this guy. And I think that a lot of the reasons why Islam was not getting fights is not because the fighters are afraid of him. It's because the management or whoever's handling them is steering away from him, which is a wise move. Now that he's number 9, now it makes more sense to fight him. And he's gaining some steam. So I think probably 2 more fights, 2 more wins, and you'll see Islam. In my opinion, he'll be fighting for the title, after 2 more fights.
Was this, quicker than you estimated? Were you thinking you were further out and then this happened? I mean, did you go, oh, good? I mean, when you get that news?
No, it's just typical. It's like, anything can change at one fight's notice. Look what happened to Michael Chandler. He comes in one fight, he's fighting for the title. He was there at the right time, saying, raising his hands up, hey, I'm here, no problem. I got you. I got you. He didn't refuse a fight. So Michael Chandler got put in that title contention, because no one else was doing it. He raised his hand and hey, did he deserve it? Yeah, he raised his hand. He was available. So yeah, he deserved it, because he was there. He didn't turn it down, so, is it warranted that he got the title? Well, that's questionable, right? Because there's guys that have been in the UFC longer, but the bottom line is he raised his hand while others didn't, and Dustin should have been fighting for the title, but he elected to go for the payday, which you can't blame him because, like I said, not every fighter has the same thing in mind, and I would have went for the payday also because that title, if I beat Connor, I can come back for the title shot after that. So, and you got that big, huge payday with Connor, which you would have never got. So, Dustin, from his perspective and his management, they made the most money for him.
He's a prize fighter fighting for the prize. That's the bottom line. Now, I guess Gaethje may be facing off against Chandler. So that's something that we're looking at. But, Islam already has a fight scheduled with Moises. So, he's
and he's got to get by his opponent. His opponent is no walk in the park. So, anybody you fight in the UFC, whether they're ranked or not ranked, they're going to be tough, man. So, he doesn't have his easy opponent, and he may make it look easy, but doesn't mean he was easy.
Right.
Drew Dober looked easy, but doesn't mean Drew Dober was easy.
Right. Watch his
Islam
other
worked
tape.
very hard. Islam worked very hard for him, and he was prepared for him, and he did everything right. But let me tell you something: if he didn't take him as serious as he did, things could have gone different. They
True.
didn't. They didn't go different because Islam took, Drew Dober very serious, and he knew he was a tough guy. So, he just showed his skill set. His skill set, Islam's skill set's above any of these guys that are in the lightweight division. It really is. All the way around, he's got a better skill set than every single one of those guys, all the way around.
So we get a couple fights to play out. We get the Chandler, Gaethje. I don't think Tony might be a pickup fight. He's still in the top 10, I think. Then you've got Conor, versus Poirier. And then that kind of like smooths things out. And you've got Oliveira, who's got the belt. So all these things just need to play out like math. And then we see what the aftermath is. And of course, Islam's fight. He's going to get through his next opponent to be in that mix, be in that conversation.
But he is in that mix, and that's what I'm saying. He's in that mix. He's in that mix because people are talking about him. People are talking about how people are electing not to fight him right now. So he's in the mix because everybody that knows him, Khabib's pushing him, I'm pushing him, his teammates are pushing him. So everybody knows how good Islam is from his teammates talking, and people observed how good he is by, let's face it, what he did to Drew Dober was nothing short of spectacular. That was an incredible way to handle a really, really tough guy, and so people they're fully aware of Islam Makhachev. They know how good he is, and they want to fight him, but they want to fight him when the glory and the prize is worthy. But right now, when he was in past 14th or 15th, there was no glory from him other than you beat the really, really tough guy if you managed to beat him, and now it's different. Now he's getting a lot of attention, and people want to, there's more people you see. There'll be more people that want a piece of Islam. You'll see.
It's going to start popping up. It's interesting because you've got Islam, who is, he made that fight with Drew Dober look like a piece of cake. But then there's a way that, your Dagestani fighters, most of them, not all the same, but like Khabib and Islam, which are kind of similar in styles. Like Khabib never took a cut, never came out of there all battered facially in any fight. And they just went to the win. It's like, why sacrifice yourself for, a bloody face ripping, pugilistic thing when you've got the wrestling to win? The father's plan. That's what it seems to ring through every time to me when I look at them.
Well, it's, you got to keep them on track. You got to keep them on line to father, to use father's plan, because it's a great weapon that they all have, that they all learned from the great one, the father, Habib's father. So, I basically always want my guys to have that as their go-to move more than anything, because they're really, really good at it. All of those guys are really good at that, and, the stand-up's all great, but, we can't forget what got them there. What got them to the dance, and, it was father's teaching that got them to the dance. So we got to continue to, strive to push that legacy of what his father was and his principles and everything he was all about, and keep it intact with what he developed, and you'll see with time that he has a heck of a lot of up and coming superstars that were trained under him.
And now you've got a few with you right now. How's the training going with Abakar, Tahir, and Usman right now? How are they acclimating to the AKA life?
They're good. Tahir's been here before. Manup's our gangster, so everybody knows him here. So he's been here for years. So Usman this is his first time. So for him it's a little different, but he likes it, and they're used to it, and it's just a matter of getting that jet lag, which last week they were all jet lagged, and this week it's much better.
He always comes in jet lagged. These are the longest flights this young man's ever taken in his life. Whether it was out to where'd you film him last time? That wasn't Connecticut. That was in Las Vegas.
Yeah, Connecticut.
Yeah,
we went from Las Vegas to Connecticut. That was pretty long.
But when you had him even before, when he came from Dagestan and he got in
Dubai.
Vegas, you had him at the cage, and it's like It's like, wow, what are these long trips? And Khabib and everybody's been taking them forever. So how's it looking with some of the AKA guys? How are they mixing it up? How are they adapting with the Dagestani guys? Are you liking to see how Usman looks against some of your other fighters, getting a different look at his skills and stuff like that without giving away the kitchen sink or anything?
No, they're doing great. I mean, they're just, working with each other, helping each other out, they bring another element that's helping, and then we have a lot of wrestling element that gives them some new looks too, so complementing each other. It's always been that way.
Yeah, they train differently with you at AKA than they usually do back home, right? Like you have the sparring with the rest
Yeah,
of them.
here it's more structured. When I'm with them out there, I don't really put much structure on them, but over here it's very structured. They have certain times, and over there when I was in training in Dubai, there's always something will change. Like in this last one in Vegas, I'd show up for training. They say 5 o'clock. I'd show up at 5 o'clock. No one's there. I find out they trained earlier, and I was always the last one to know. Or I'd show up to train in the morning, and no one would be there. And it was just funny. It's just they were in a different schedule. Here they know the schedule, and there's not like they can't change the schedule, so they have to be here at this time because there won't be any training. So for me, the structure that we have here is better for me, even though they'll do their training regardless of whether they're structured or not. They'll do their training, but at least I don't miss it. I'm here, they're here. We're all together, so it works.
They're in AKA land now. So recently, you've had a couple other wins. I mean, we did talk about it. Arjan Singh Balar did win the one championship, and then you've been talking to me for a while about Mark Climaco, and I think I just saw a clip of him winning. Looked like he had a submission there. That's the guy you're looking at going into the UFC, right?
Yeah, Mark Climaco is not ready yet. I mean, 3-4 more fights. He's 6-0 now. We'll see. He's still learning. He's a very good prospect. I call him Mini Pac. Because little Pacquiao. He's doing well. Arjan Bueller. Arjan has been with us from his first MMA fight, but he's mostly trained in Canada with Vince Johnson Jr., I believe, is his trainer over there, and he's a team AKA, but he's handled over there. He comes here when he can get his work in. Arjan's always going to be AKA, but where he gets his training is different. Just like GSP with Greg Jackson's, right? GSP when he's with TriStar, but he comes in with Greg Jackson, so they put him together. That's Arjan Bueller, same thing. Most of his training is done in Canada, but he does some camps here.
And you've had I don't know, he might be training over there with DC, but Kevin Holland, did he come out your guys' way?
He mostly came here to do wrestling with DC. I haven't seen him, but I'm only here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm not here Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like tomorrow's wrestling day, so Kevin might be here tomorrow, but he hasn't been at AKA like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The team training, stand-up, training like MMA training. He hasn't been here for that. I think he's just mainly here for DC. Because DC is what he needs. He doesn't need anything else AKA has to offer. He needs what DC has to offer. And he's smart. He's very smart because DC will take care of him like nobody else will. He'll make sure he has all the wrestling partners. He'll make sure that he learns all the right fundamental techniques that he needs to keep himself relevant in the the UFC. And with DC's help, if Kevin continues to do what we're doing, he's going to improve vastly. And then it's going to be, that one big giant hole he has is going to be almost plugged. I wouldn't say completely plugged because you're not going to pick up wrestling overnight, but he will get wrestling down like he's never had before. So, DC is a big, huge push for him. It just depends on him and his desire to want to learn.
It does, guys do come there for the wrestling, especially there's some places that have none of it. They don't have what you guys have between you and DC, what AKA offers and what DC does in that area in the San Jose. I mean, like talking to my Italian friend that came out and trained with you, like, he's like, there's nothing here. I got one guy to train with. So people travel from all over the world, like Arjan and all these other guys. They come down to AKA to get it. That's what it seems like to me.
Well, for us too. I mean, for the longest time, we were missing the wrestling. We didn't have the wrestling till DC came join the team. And he was a natural leader and coach right off from the get-go. And, I told his management that I don't care about DC as a fighter, but I want him here because this guy's a great coach and we need a wrestling coach. And sure enough, everything I thought about him came out to be true. He's a great, great coach. He loves wrestling. He's got a passion for wrestling. Wrestling is his This is his thing. It is not MMA, wrestling. That's what he loves. That's what he did as a kid. That's what he's giving back to the community. That's what he's giving back to the kids, the high school kids. I mean, he devotes the vast majority of his time to giving back to these kids, and no money comes into his pocket. It's all to take care of them. He pays their flights, he pays their registration fees for the parents or whatever that needs it. I mean, this guy goes over and above what anybody would do to get the kids, in wrestling programs. He's amazing. DC's an amazing coach. And
I've been told this, your friend Carolyn said that he sponsored a lot of kids to get trained, just did the work and said, give all the money to the kids. And that's very charitable and very giving of him. That's impressive.
You don't find too many people like him. He's very special. Khabib too. Him and Khabib are a cut above the norm, a superstar. They are a cut above. And without naming anybody, but those two are above everybody, man. They're incredible.
So we get Islam coming, about another couple weeks or a month, or coming to AK?
He should be arriving soon. I don't know when, but he's coming soon. Him and Islam Mavadov too. He's coming also, and a few of the other ones. I don't know which ones are coming, but they're definitely coming.
So will you see Khabib? You think Khabib's going to show up to help get in there, because he doesn't want to give up training, even though he's retired?
No, Khabib has to show up. We have an agreement that he has to help me with the guys. I can't do it by myself. I need him. He's very important for the mental growth of these guys and for the technical and the discipline. He's very, very important. I could not be successful with his crew without his presence. So he has to be here. So he will be here with me. We made an agreement, and he doesn't break his agreements, nor do I. So, expect Khabib to be with me, because that's just the way it is. We stick to, our word and our loyalty, and our loyalties to each other, and we will do what we say we're going to do.
There's nothing more exciting than being around when all that's going on. And that's when everybody shows up. Hey, Habib's team is training here. Boom. There's like people calling Joanna from Holland. Can I come train at AK? It's like the schedule comes out.
Yeah, it's not that easy, because, it's like, when Habib's here, it's like there's people everywhere and trying to think they can just come in and train, but you just can't come and train. It's just like, if you belong to any professional team, it's like you belong to, let's say, the Los Angeles Lakers, and you got the team training, and then some other, professional basketball team or amateur guy says, hey, I want to come train with the Lakers. No, I'm sorry. No. You can't do that. It's the same thing. You just can't come in and train with the team. That's the team. You're not a team member. You really just can't train with the team. You have to go through the right channels. You just can't call the gym, I want to train with the team. It's
oh my God.
Impossible. It's
impossible. If that was out of control, I can imagine like the whole world would be there. Like, hey, there's 500 guys that want to train in this camp. Like, listen, we only have floor space for 80. What?
Not even that. Not even
right.
that.
Oh yeah, with the new that, right?
Yeah, and then also too with Khabib, it's like people come and they come from, some people come from out of the country. No, some people, a whole bunch come from out of the country.
Yeah.
And, they don't even make sure that he's going to be here. They just show up and they think he's going to be here, and he's not here. It's like, I've seen guys come up. I go, you're here for, we want to see Khabib. I go, Khabib ain't never coming back for quite a long time. Oh, but we came all the way. Can't you do anything? I go, what am I going to do? Khabib, come back.
Habib, come over here. We'll get a couple guys.
Yeah, come back. A couple guys that just, they weren't expected to be here. Now they're here. So please come back. It's like, there's only so much you can do. Khabib is a beautiful individual that does what he can for the fans, but there's only so much one person can do, and, it's he's got, I bet you worldwide, he's got probably 1 billion fans. I bet you worldwide.
Well, it's interesting. It's like you had, just to share some stories with people, not on the topical side, but like you had that pilot fly all the way out, the Emirates pilot fly all the way out so he could meet Khabib. He came over and people drove across the states just to be there for 5 minutes to meet Khabib. I mean, you've seen that time and time again.
Yeah, he met Khabib 30 seconds and he was happy.
Right?
That's it. He was happy. He came on San Francisco, rented a car. As soon as he got in, he got here, and he just got lucky. He happened to meet Khabib outside, took his picture, and it was to him mission accomplished. And I'm like, that's just crazy, man. I wouldn't even go across the street to take anybody's signature or picture with them. I'm like, these people go across the world. I
That's
mean,
the,
hey, you got to love the fans, but I just never been one of those kind of fans.
no, I get it. Well, you're in the business. So it's like, what? But
Well, whether
everybody,
I was in the business or not, I wouldn't do that. It just that's just crazy. It just doesn't seem. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of anybody in particular like that. And the only one that I was a big fan of was Muhammad Ali. But even Muhammad Ali, if Muhammad Ali was doing an autograph session somewhere, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go to get an autograph from him or a picture. I wouldn't do it. That's just me. That's just me. I'm not saying the other people love that. I think that's fantastic. It's a great feeling to have that kind of feeling that they love. It's just I don't have it. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with them. No, there's probably something wrong with me that I don't get jazzed up about meeting all these stars, and it doesn't affect me like it does other people. So obviously, it's probably not a good thing for me to be that way. It's probably better if I had more of a like DC. DC gets all giddy if he's around some of his, like wrestling stars or people like that. He gets all, and it's kind of funny to watch and it's kind of cool at the same time, but I don't have any of that, I
you're
just
like,
don't.
who's that guy that he's excited about? Don't know him. Interesting though. DC seems excited.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
just to talk other funny stuff, like my experience being there with you in the past filming, like you'd have paparazzi, like waiting for Habib. It's like that was the closest I get to see what it was probably like for some movie stars in LA, guys hiding behind the trees with their cameras.
Yeah,
But not just the paparazzi. Then there was the guys that are trying to get, the autograph hogs. And they're trying to like, here, sign these 10 things for me. Habib
and
will
he
get,
does, and he does, and the thing is, obviously they're selling them, and I mean he will. It's just that there's so much time he has in the day, and he's not like some days he don't even show up, and people are like, well, where is he? We were waiting for him. It's like, okay, you were waiting for him. Okay, well, you might have to wait
he'll
till
go
tomorrow.
incognito. He'll roll up in a fancy car and he'll leave in a little tiny Nissan Sentra. He doesn't care. He's just like, okay, does this take me to go get the coffee with the guys or whatever? He's good to go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you're jazzed about him coming out. Only one fight to really talk about this week because this other card didn't really look into it too deep. It doesn't have the hitting because there's more cards now that are like fight night cards. There's less like highlighted pay-per-views. I mean, they're there, but during COVID, most things were a pay-per-view because they couldn't do the fight night cards. Um, Before I do that, what about the gym? Is it opening up? Are you past 25% yet? How's that
Yeah,
going?
we're at 50% capacity. I was told that June 15th, depending on how many people have been vaccinated, that they may have some new restrictions waived, like the mask rule. If you've been vaccinated, you have proof that you can take the mask off. I think those days are coming, bro. It's the people being infected in the U.S. daily now. It's dwindled quite a bit. I mean, the majority of California, I think over 50% now are fully vaccinated. And I think 16 years of under haven't been vaccinated. So if you think about that, that's even more because you got the infants from up to 0 to 16 years of age. I think they just started now vaccinating the 16-year-olds. And I don't know how low they'll go. I don't even know if the young ones need it. Have you ever heard of anybody that was 10 years old really was in bad condition?
There might have been one-off case. I mean, I know it's still out there. A friend of mine's wife caught it really bad. She got hospitalized. This was last week. And like, you're not hearing about that anywhere else. It's like, we all kind of feel like it's gone. Where I'm at, nobody's wearing masks anymore. The numbers are down. I'm looking at the statistics. They're not seeing any spikes. It's not in the news anymore. And it's like, if you vaccinate 25, 50% of the people, now you have a 50-50 chance in California. Before you had a 98% chance of catching it. And that's kind of how it went. You get vaccinated early, like a year ago, right?
Yeah, but I had to redo it. So because I went and had my doctor test my antibodies, and he told me that my antibodies are really low, so I went and redid it again. So I took my first shot, Moderna shot, I guess is
Mm-hmm.
Moderna. Is it Moderna? I took
Derma,
that
yeah.
one 2.5 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I take my second one on June 12th. Easy. It was very easy. As soon as he told me I had to take one, boom, done. It's like within an hour, I had an appointment to go within an hour of when I was told to go get a shot. I got on the phone, I looked at Walgreens and CVS, and boom, there you go, done. So it's really easy. California's made it very accessible. for us to be able to take our shots. And unfortunately, it's something we're all going to have to continue to do, because I believe what's going to end up happening, and I could be wrong, is that the flying and all this, if you do business, they're going to make sure you're vaccinated. They're not going to just let anybody come fly for with no restrictions, like before. I think there's going to be restrictions. Hopefully not, but I think there is. I think that you're gonna see a lot of changes where it's going to encourage everybody to get vaccinated, which means those people that are the first to come to the table, or the billionaires, are going to continue to make billions of dollars off of this. And hey,
Yeah,
that's corporate world, right? It's corporate America,
right.
it's corporate world, and that's just the way it works. And I mean, I'm not going to not take the shots. I already
Right.
know they work, so I'm going to take the shots, even though there's risk involved. But
It's a chicken before the egg conversation, because before this you're like, why should I ever have to deal with that? Then you live through it and you're like, why didn't they have it before? We would have never had to live through that. So it's like, it's one of those things, right? You never would have been shut down if everybody had vaccinations.
yeah, but we
No,
never knew. But yeah, you're right. But look what happened. How many people died? How many people lost their jobs? How many people lost
right.
everything? Shit, I almost lost everything too. I came very close. So I was one of those individuals that almost lost everything, but I never lost faith in who I was and what I could do, and what I needed to do to survive. So I survived, but it came close for me too. It was really close. So
Luckily, it wasn't another sport. You had Dana White, who often gets criticism, but in this case, he kept a lot of people fed, hungry, and from being hungry and working, and he made sure that your boat sailed on. You weren't shut down. He was the first. So
Yeah,
we
he
talked
was the
about that
first.
before.
Yeah, he was the first. He was the first one that went to bat for everybody, all sports. And of course, since a lot of people don't like him, they're not giving him the credit. They're first to jump on him, and then, when they figure out he was right, none of those guys are coming out praising him. Of course, hey, that's the way it is, right?
You got to have a little bit of edge. You can't be, that's the promoter. He's a really nice guy. You got to have a little bit of heel in you to get people drawn in. There's no way that the nice guy is doing a nice fight again. Ain't going to work. But back to the fight now. I'm glad to hear that your gym's up to 50%. If you're in the area and you're vaccinated, even easier. Go down to AKA, sign up. I bet your people are coming in like crazy, right?
I don't know. I think they're doing online. They're going online at the gym online, and they're signing up online. And there's some. You have to come in with the vaccine or COVID shot in
Right.
order to try classes. You can't just come in.
Okay.
So there is restrictions. So go online first at our aka kickbox.com. Aka kickbox.com for those that are interested. Go online first.
And then now for the fight talk, a guy that you've been watching, guy you've liked to watch, Israel Adesanya fighting Marvin Vettori. Israel's coming off his first loss. Marvin is grapple heavy. He probably won't try to kickbox him as much after he saw the last fight where the takedowns did not work so much on Adesanya. But he did, he won. It was a very close fight the last time. How do you see that fight going this time? Because things have changed. I think Marvin realized, oh, I can grapple on him more instead of trying to be a kickboxer versus a kickboxer.
I think that because of the fact that how Marvin's going to come in, it's going to see how good of a grappler he is, how good of a wrestler he is, how can he take Izzy down in like the middle of the ring, not near the cage, where Izzy can use that to hit, his advantage to stand up and to defend, So we'll see. I mean, we're also talking about different in weights too. There's a difference in weight come fight time. He's not going to be as heavy as the light heavyweight champ was when he went with Izzy. And one thing for sure, in my opinion, outside of catching Izzy with a good shot, there is nobody out there that's going to outstrike him, in my opinion, in the middleweight division and the light heavyweight division. They're not going to outstrike this guy. But obviously, I was shocked like everybody else. I didn't think what happened was going to happen, and it did. But it did expose a giant hole in him. And if these guys are smart, then they're working on taking them down. They're working on that, taking them down the middle of the cage, taking them down in the end. It doesn't matter. Just take them down, and having a good ground game and et cetera, et cetera. Now, Marvin just did that with his last opponent, right? With Kevin Holland. Then he just kept continuing to take him down.
He set the record for takedowns in that weight class. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's coming off doing the right game plan, And that's the same game plan he's going to have to use against Adesanya. But we're talking about a different animal too, though. Just because it worked with Kevin Holland doesn't mean it's going to work with Izzy. It may not work with him at all. Who knows? I mean, we won't know until the fight happens.
They have fought before. It was a close fight, but I would say that Israel definitely had it on the stand up. Marvin was more of a slugger and hard and didn't, strong chin coming forward, didn't really implement his grappling game. So maybe if he's falling to grappling, that might change things a bit. I think that's my thoughts on it.
It could be hard to say, hard to say. That it's definitely a different fight, and there's definitely ways of beating Izzy. He's shown that in all fairness, I don't see how his ground game is going to improve that drastic between the last fight he had and this fight. So
right,
his ground game is still going to be suspect if he is managed to be taken to the ground. That's if.
Right.
His ground game is suspect. I mean, you can't say no, it's not. It's got a solid ground game. He does not. He does not have a solid ground game. So can he improve on it? Is he improve on it? Absolutely, he's improving on it. He's a champ for a reason. He's gonna keep fixing his holes. But is it enough of a fix between this fight and the next fight? Possibly. Yeah. Against Marvin, it's possible. But against Jan, a rematch with that, if you get taken down the same scenario, no, he's gonna need more. He's going to need more.
He's probably going to go if he did against Jan again. Jan's like, let's go for those takedowns earlier now. That's probably what he would implement, my guess.
It's hard to say, right? Hard to say because Jan wasn't exactly getting clobbered on the stand-up. He wasn't. No. He was losing, but not by much. So who knows? He might use the same game plan. It worked really well for him. I didn't expect it. I really didn't, and I don't know if he did either. To be honest with you, I think. The fact that he took him down, the fact that he found that he was more susceptible to being successful, being on the grappling than the stand up. I think John's corner, probably told him to stay on that.
Yeah,
and that's what he did.
No, that was a good one. Well, it's been great catching up with you, and I've been seeing your posts about jacobcbd.com. And you've been posting those up there, getting a lot of views. How are you liking the Jacob CBD? You've been taking it for sleep and stuff lately?
Yeah, I've been taking them every day. I make sure I take them. I got a whole new box. I said,
oh,
I got a whole new box. Yeah.
Is that the sleeping gummies or is that the?
Yeah, this is sleeping gummies. Yeah, and Jacob's. Yeah, Jacob sent me, and then the drops. I got the drops too. Take one of these a day to relax. They work well. I don't know if you can see it, but
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Well, now when you start holding pads, now that you get guys there, you start holding pads more. You take a break in between camps. That's when you start feeling the pain of taking all those hits. And you've always been an advocate of CBD. So have you had a chance to try it out with that? Are you waiting for Islam to show up more?
No, I use it all the time. Whether the guys are here or not, I use it for the inflammation. The CBD is fantastic. And it just saved my coaching life from holding pads. And being pain free. Before tendonitis hit me really bad, and on all the elbows, inside tennis elbow, golfer's elbow. It really sucked, that inflammation pain. But with the CBD. It really, really helped. And then Jacob's, sleep chews. That's the one I have here. I never really liked that stuff. I never did. I had it before with the other CBD products that I use, their sleep product. And man, it sucked. And it's like, I don't like this stuff, or say shit. I don't like it. And all of a sudden, Jacob's telling me, no, try these. It's different. It's got something else in it, blah, blah, blah. I didn't pay attention. I was like, whatever. And then, I happened to try it, and I'm like, I woke up the next morning feeling really good. And I said, what the hell? Maybe this stuff is good, So now I've been using it for a month now. Every day I've been using Jacob CBD.
Well, for somebody, you've always had issues with sleep and issues with inflammation. So custom made for anybody with those kind of problems. And it seems to make your life better, and you don't endorse a lot of stuff for nothing. So anyways, guys, check out jacobcbd.com if you need any CBD. It's really good stuff. The coach loves it, and that's a guy that's holding pads for some hard-hitting son of a guns. And thanks once again for tuning in.